Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the Push Podcast. My name's Jack Ferguson, an experienced brand strategist with a science background. In my career, I've worked across 25 industries and helped increase client and employer revenue by over $40 million. I will be your host. This season of the podcast is essential listening for marketers looking to better sell their strategies to stakeholders, get client buy-in, and keep internal teams engaged. Thanks for being here, and don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 72 of the Push Podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. This episode is a fun one, or maybe it's a traumatizing one. I'm not sure yet, but it's about what marketers wish they could say to non-marketers. I've got a few examples I've pulled from the internet. I'm going to start off with a Reddit thread that I was reading through earlier today that was from a user called Grem Win. And this user says, many people assume that marketing is easy. How do you professionally shut them down? Great question, Graham Wynn, and one that I'm sure most marketers have asked themselves at some point in their career, if not every week of their career. So I'll go into more detail about what this person says. And they say that people like my colleagues and my boss think that they can all be great marketers themselves. Most of the time, their on-the-spot ideas have no long-term logistical standing, and it's frustrating whenever people pop up a cool marketing idea which probably isn't going to be plausible or not within the budget. Cool marketing idea has been written there in inverted commas, just so you know as well. They say, marketing isn't a chuck things at the wall and see what sticks roll, and I'm running out of professional ways to shut them down. So how do you marketers do it? Do you guys have similar stories too? Now, I wanted to read out this response that came from user Wish Come True. And they say, numbers, nothing else works. When confronted with idiocracy, I happily jot the idea down and then come back with a quick multi-channel campaign, cost broken down by timeline, channel, and CPA. Then I ask for the budget to run it and remind them that they will be responsible for the reported results, especially if you make them approve the creatives. If they're dumb enough to approve the budget, I run it, and then when it ultimately fails, I make sure to report the failure in painful detail with numeric results in a spreadsheet. When I'm feeling really put upon, I embed the picture of the person and their name on the sheet to add the reminder that this was their idea. Now, I've never done anything like this, but this sounds really funny. They say the key is always to report the numbers for your work and their work. I've learned that for the most part, no one likes having the details of their failures documented in a spreadsheet report. Numbers can't be argued with, they can't blame it on you, and you can distance yourself from their stupidity by contrasting their results with your own results. But you better have a better set of numbers than theirs. Wow. Make sure you email me if anyone's done something like this, because I've never done something like that before, but it's hilarious. Another user, which has a deleted username, so I can't give them credit, but they said, ideas are worthless. Approaching your marketing manager with, we should create wider post on Z is like approaching Spielberg and saying, listen to this. Are you ready? Ninja Dragons versus Space Wrestlers. Where's my paycheck? I thought that was a great analogy. They go on to say, as far as I can tell, there's no shutting them up, but you may try to pretend you're interested, ask some specific questions that they're not likely to answer on the spot. And when they pause, you can go, you know what, that sounds great. Can you elaborate on this in writing so I can see if we can approach it? Email me with the details. They caveat this by saying it may work on colleagues, but it doesn't work on bosses. Another user then goes on to say, basically, I ask them a question that helps them reveal their own ignorance. I'm in a specific niche of marketing. If someone says something like copywriting is simple, I'll ask a niche question like, at this stage of awareness, what type of lead do you think is appropriate? The key is to be chill and curious about it, not confrontational at all, like you're asking for their sage advice. They'll try to push back in some way, and I'll go even further with, how would you say this is transforming the prospect in such a way to make them perform the CTA, based on what you're seeing in VOC, scroll depth, and ultimately refunds? They're on the spot, you look smart, and the best part, they realize you're a pro and won't muck with you anymore. So I thought these responses were quite funny, I must admit, and that's why I wanted to conclude them in this episode. They're a little bit more bold than what I've done throughout my career, but I do very much appreciate this Ninja Dragons versus Space Wrestlers analogy. I thought that was fantastic because there is this perception that it's this high leverage thing that they can be Tarzan and swing in from the treetops and say Ninja Dragons and Space Wrestlers and then swing off. And then the marketing team does the Ninja Dragons and Space Wrestlers campaign and it makes all this money, and that was Tarzan's doing. Thank God he swung in at that moment. There's another issue I come across with non-marketers where they almost try to use the marketing department to try and entertain themselves or express themselves. And this is why they come up with these ideas, want you to execute it and then run away effectively. But as we know as marketers too, Advertising isn't necessarily a strong force within itself. One campaign often doesn't change the fortunes of a company. There are moments where we can fire up a direct response campaign that might capture some latent demand and you get some uplift. But if you really had found gold as well, there's probably going to be a supply issue that you run into soon enough anyway. So too much success will actually cause other problems in the business if it isn't built to handle this enormous uptick in sales that it seems like these people are expecting. As we know, what we do is probabilistic, multifactorial, intersubjective. It's not this come in and share this one idea and all our problems are solved. So what do marketers wish we could say in those cases? No. That would be something we'd love to say. No. Another one would be, you're not good at marketing. I have said that one a few times in select cases, and perhaps if I'm not too worried about losing the client. Another thing we probably wish we could say is, are you thinking that this will save the company or this will change the fortunes of the company? Because it does seem like at times that is what they think, that this is this one thing that's going to change everything. This is the silver bullet. But if I move past the sarcastic sort of responses here, there is some useful things I think we can say that can help. One being that having somewhere like a form for colleagues where they can put their ideas forward, let's say a Google form, and say that we are going to review it once a month. It gives them somewhere to put the thing and express themselves, but it also batches it for us as well. It makes it manageable for us. Another user in the thread said, you're definitely not the only one suffering from this chronic disease that seems to exist everywhere. One thing that has worked well for me is having an idea day, once per month, where executives and stakeholders can brainstorm and contribute all of their marketing ideas. Sometimes something useful and relevant comes out of these sessions, but for the most part, it helps get their ideas acknowledged and heard so they don't feel like they have to constantly micromanage. So an idea day once per month, maybe half an idea day, maybe an idea session. Maybe it should only go for 2 hours. But I quite like this idea too. I thought it gives people somewhere to put their ideas and it gives us a constrained window where we only have to listen to them for a certain amount of times. And yeah, maybe there are some good ideas in amongst there that we can use as well. It's not to say that everything that a non-marketer says is useless, just most of it. I think with superiors as well, you can offer to write the business case for what they're suggesting. If they allow it and they can see in detail what you think is going to happen, if you went ahead with this idea, they probably won't ask you to do it again. If they want you to just do it and not write the business case, I did like the idea of making them approve every part of it, as the user earlier I mentioned talked about, and then attributing it to them as much as possible. Personally, I wouldn't go as far as to put their face in it in the spreadsheet or in the report or whatever you're doing, but making it clear that it's theirs and they're owning it all, I think will change behavior. Okay, here's another one that came from Graham Robertson on LinkedIn. I thought this was brilliant, so I wanted to read this one out too. He says in a post, non-marketers, please stop telling marketers how to do their jobs. You're embarrassing yourself. Every marketer has suffered the stop by at the desk having to listen to the dumbest ideas ever. The finance person, plant manager, even the CEO all stop by and say, you know what would be a great idea? We have to listen, smile, and then say, great idea, no matter how dumb or lame the idea is. This is the curse of being a marketer because non-marketers always tell us how to do our jobs. No one ever tells a pilot, I hear the Pittsburgh airspace is good today, or tells a surgeon about a new scalpel their taxidermist uncle uses. Accountants don't get non-accountants stopping by with tax tips. I suppose that everyone who has a TV and can critique Super Bowl ads believes they can now claim to be marketing experts. When I see people on LinkedIn writing marketers need to think more about the consumer, I think you've never met a real marketer. The best marketers started doing that around 1915. This is now popular among non-marketers. When I hear marketers should analyze data, again, I think, what incompetent marketers have you been hanging around with? That's been a significant part of the job since 1950. When I read the CEO should be in charge of the brand, I think, well, then the CEO should be in charge of the IT system. Sure, they are in charge, but they should be smart enough to delegate to the experts who will strengthen their brand. The best marketing-led organizations have bottom-up recommendations, empowering the brand manager to tell their directors what they want to do, who then support them in moving that up to the VP and president. So obviously this is a very America-centric post. We don't use those terms that often in Australia, but senior management, basically leadership. The worst organizations are when the CEO walks down the hall and asks, why are we not on Instagram? My 15-year-old daughter showed me how cool it is this weekend. This is likely why the average tenure of a CMO is under 24 months at this point. They are like sports coaches who are hired to be fired by the impatience of getting results. Or is it the impatience of not implementing the dumb ideas? When I hear marketing needs to be more than just advertising, once again, you don't understand the job. Typically, advertising is 10 to 15% of the job. The best marketers determine their strategy, figure out the brand promise, brand communication, product innovation, purchase moment, and consumer experience. They touch all of them and decide on all of them, but they let their experts run each of those touch points. When I read about brand building and transaction marketing being two separate skills by two separate types of people, I quietly think you're an idiot. Marketers don't just do marketing. We touch everything. So not many notes on that one, Graham. I thought that was brilliant, and that's why I wanted to include that in the episode. I do sometimes wonder whether the marketing term itself is somewhat problematic due to the fact that we got the verb. So marketing, it's almost like a doing thing. Finance is not financing. HR is not HRing. But apart from that, no notes on that. Credit goes to Graham Robertson for that LinkedIn post. A few other fun ones from Reddit. This one was from a thread that they're talking about the most expensive, useless marketing tactics I've come across in the career. Username Made in She says, "This wasn't expensive but useless. The CEO of our company had our video team go out and film him and the C-suite team playing flag football. It took our editors so many hours to make them look halfway decent and not look like a bunch of dudes in their 50s who haven't played it down in 30 years. But goddamn, was it worth it to watch the B-roll with the marketing team." I don't really understand these ideas that leadership and management can come up with at times around why the audience would actually want to watch them play football. The audience probably doesn't know who they are, let alone care. And it sounds like that they aren't very good at football and they're in their 50s and well past their prime playing football. I thought it was a weird one. This next couple was from a thread that was talking about the dumbest things that clients have said to them. And this one is from user Goddamn Steve, who said, "Create all of my landing page designs in Excel and share it with me via print." Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I haven't heard one like that. I haven't heard one that far off the mark myself as far as design goes. Not that I'm a designer, but doing designs in Excel is very much missing the point. This other one is from user Wake Force. They say, client asked them for a complete marketing strategy within 1 month. They work on said strategy and deliver it on time. It's pretty good considering the time allowed to do it. They present it in person and the client tells them that they already knew everything that was in the strategy and he actually wanted tactics in a marketing plan to grow his revenue 10x in a 6-month time frame. Wow, that's solid growth. They got fired the following day and go on to say dodged a bullet there. And I agree with that. 10x in 6 months. Wow. This next one's from a user called Fat Friday Lunch. Some of these users have quite strange usernames, but anyway. They said that they'd received a 5-page PDF for proven tax saving strategies, and they're tasked with making it go viral. The user No Bookkeeper 6050 responds and said, "Yeah, sure. A 5-page PDF for proven tax saving strategies is totally what the people are dying to see." Oh gosh, yes. If we could make something go viral, if that was within our power, why do people not think that we'd be doing that for ourselves? Something to think about. All right, now these are some from a thread on the weirdest or the vaguest brief you've ever gotten. This one's from username Fulia, and they said that they got a brief that said campaign message to be determined. Ooh, that makes it hard. This one's from username Mr. Metzi. Make it engaging. That was the brief. And you think to yourself, oh, okay, well, yeah, okay, we'll make it engaging. We were thinking about making it boring, but thank you for the correction. That's really going to change the outcome of what we were going to do. From a deleted user, they've got, "I don't know what I want yet. I'll know it when I see it." Again, I don't think I've come across that one myself, one that vague, but that one's impossible. I mean, they're all impossible, but that one's particularly impossible. And another deleted user responded to this and said, "This is so familiar, I feel personally attacked." So probably more common for people who work in agencies, but one's an impossible task because you are going to get that wrong. You know that you're going to be wrong according to the client no matter what you do. So that's it for today's episode. This one was a fun one to do. I thought I'd just read and share some funny stories, interesting stories, possibly cathartic stories that I found across the internet. Thank you for tuning in and trauma bonding with me today. I will be back in your ears very shortly. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Push Podcast. Please remember to subscribe, and if you are enjoying the episodes, please leave a review of the podcast on your platform of choice. It really helps to build the podcast credibility and to help others find this type of information.